Hello everybody, welcome to Greg's Vintage Workshop, where I'm working to restore history one piece at a time. Tonight's been a long time coming, folks, almost 2 years, but we're doing part 6, which is the final part of the Philco 54. That's a 1933 Model 54 that I started almost 2 years ago, and got it all tore apart. I had redone the antenna coil, the oscillator coil, I mean, you name it, I redid it. I redid the filter condenser can. Ultimately, the radio, when I got it, was in pieces and had been completely monkeyed with, changed out, missing parts. I kind of put it on a back burner, but I got started back on it a few months ago, and I finally got it working. A little problem getting it working, but I got it working. And so that brings us to tonight's episode, which is part 6, the final, in which you will see the finished product. You'll see how I got to the finished product as far as the cabinet and the interior pieces of the cabinet. And then I will give you a demonstration, a good close-up, and you can hear it and see how it sounds. So without further ado, let's get on with this Philco 54 final episode. Alright, so here's a quick look at the cabinet. I'm finished with it. It turned out pretty good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's also pretty old. But I don't know how well the colors are going to come in through here. Got cat hair on it. Got my Philco decal on there. Back turned out good. I managed to salvage that sticker, and the inside of the back I managed to salvage that sticker, so I'm pretty happy with that. You can see the inside got more coating on that asbestos, so that's good. Now the hard part is that part that I was missing, or was broken. Let me show you. Alright, so that's that. Let me show you the other piece, what I'm working on right now. Alright, so if you guys remember, that was between the radio and the grill. And this was part of that. But this whole half was missing. Wasn't in there. I said I'm going to have to make this out probably out of wood. So what I did was I took some clear, my laminate that I laminate my prints and stuff in, and I cut a sheet of that so I could see through it and try and trace out what I could see on this side, because I ultimately laid that on there and traced as much as I could with that, and traced the rest of what I think it should be based on what was glued on here. When it came off, apparently it left residue, although here it looks like quite a bit was missing. So I kind of went in between where that edge is and where that edge is. But anyway, with that tracing then, and by the way, I did thicken that up. I think I showed you guys that. Alright. So I did that tracing on this piece of wood, which just so happens is basically the same thickness. And now I got to cut all that out and clean it up and see how close it's going to be to fitting. So let me get that done. Okay, so I got the spacer all cut out, and I had to do some trial fitting on the actual radio frame itself, not the cabinet, but the metal chassis, because the reason it has all these oddball cutouts is because The chassis itself has various screws that stick through, and it's cut out to clear the screws. And then the big oval or round section fits the shape of the speaker enclosure itself. So that's why this was pretty tricky to do. And then it's glued now to the front piece that I made. So the next step is going to be, I'm going to paint this whole back dark brown. Then once that's dry, I will put the original grill cloth back in here. I'm going to use the original. I'm going to switch it around. The back side of it looks cleaner than the one that was originally exposed to the front. So I'm going to put that on there, and that will be ready to insert. And then really all I'm waiting for is the decorative screws that actually screw the chassis into the cabinet that go through the front, which is what these holes are. The screws going through those, and that actually is what holds the radio into the cabinet. So it didn't have any. Like I said, when I got this radio, it was all to pieces, and it only had one of the screws. And of course, the chassis was what the chassis was. It was a complete mess. So we're getting ready to get this thing together. I'll spray this thing brown, and then I'll get the grill cloth on, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, so I used some textured paint on that just to see how I like the textured paint. It's alright, I'm not a big fan. This is pretty much hidden anyway, but I thought I'd see how I like that textured paint, because I might use it on another project at some point. But anyway, let's see how this thing's going to fit in the actual radio. Yeah, I think that's going to work good. I just got to get my little bezels back in there, and I am going to reuse the old ones. I had enough suggestion to use the old one that's what I'm going to do. So I got the bezels back in. Getting ready to put that piece back in there, but I'm still in the process of gluing the grill cloth on. I'll bring you back when I got that all together. Well, there she is, folks. Final product, the 1933 Philco 54. I've got it outside for two reasons. First reason is I think the natural lighting shows the way I did the cabinet the best. If you can see that, I've got the this section here is a very dark walnut, and then around that is lighter. And then the base is the dark walnut. That's dark walnut, and around that, and the center is dark walnut. So I did wind up reusing the original cloth grill, and it turned out really nice. I'm very happy with that. You see the Philco decal down there? I did use the original volume and tuning station. This radio didn't have a pointer when I got it, so there's not one on there. I'm going to walk around this side, same thing, and then the back, as I showed you, I got it all done, saved the decals. So that's the antenna wire, that's the ground wire, and of course the plug wire. And I have a picture of the goat shield that I put on the 78 tube. That I was missing. Knob down here was here. It is broken, but it was there. Actually, I take that back. It was on a different radio that I had, but it's the correct one, but it's broken. So, several of these screws were missing. I found some very light screws, but they were like chrome looking, so I just kind of touched them with some black marker and made them darker. But there she is. Got the decorative screw heads in there. Very pretty. I don't know if you can see my thermometer or not, but it's about 40 degrees outside. And I'm getting ready to barbecue. Got the charcoal grill lit. And then I come to the second reason it's outside. So this Philco has fought me every step of the way. Was not about to give up the ghost easy. You guys knew it played. I showed you the video it played. And I wound up having some distortion. I've been fighting distortion on it for, I don't know, a couple weeks. Chasing all my circuits. Looking at everything. Ultimately my pot was so out of whack it wasn't funny. It was anywhere from 18 to 4.5 meg ohm and all over the place. So I got another pot out of that other 54 I had. And it's supposed to be like 0 to 350,000. So I put that in here and I realigned it, and it was actually doing pretty good. Didn't sound half bad. And so I went ahead and put it all together and buttoned it all up, and plugged it in, hooked everything up, and I couldn't pick up any stations, and I was like, what the heck? I mean, it was making, you know, it was making volume hum, but I couldn't pick anything up. Next thing I know, I had smoke rolling out the top of it. Needless to say, I don't know. It didn't have smoke rolling out the top before I put it in the cabinet. There's nothing in the cabinet. Should have shorted it out. I made sure that all my screws were short enough they weren't going to touch anything. I don't know what happened to it, but I'm so over this radio at this point. 2 years in the process. All the troubleshooting, everything I've gone through, I've just decided it's going to be a shelf queen. Epic fail for me. Hopefully I won't lose too many subscribers because I had a failure, and I'm not willing to go any deeper into it because I've been into it for so long that I'm pretty much tired of this radio. And I don't usually give up on stuff. So anybody that knows me very well knows I don't give up on stuff, but this one has basically fought me every step of the way that I don't want to be restored, and so she is going to sit on a shelf and be pretty, because she is very pretty, but she's not going to work. I'll cut the cord back off of it just because I don't want anybody to plug it in the future if something happens to me. So I don't know what happened to it, but I'm tired of this particular radio. She has kicked my butt. I'll be the first to tell you, she kicked my butt. So if you're new to my channel, I apologize for this rant, and I apologize for giving up on this particular radio, but if you go back and watch the series and a lot of my other videos, you'll see I don't give up easily, but this one is like got a ghost that says, I'm dead, leave me alone. And at this point in time, I'm leaving it alone. I'm not saying at some point in the future, if I got nothing else to work on, that I might drag it out and start from scratch on it, see if I can get it going again. But at this point, I've got too much time, energy invested into it, and she's just going to be a shelf queen. Very pretty radio. I was happy with it, and then it went up in smoke. So anyhow, thanks for watching Greg's Vintage Workshop.